Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Jesse Jackson III. I'm the best-selling author and facilitator of the Don't Kick 'em Out book and training series and the lead advisor and consultant here at the Best Man Company, LLC. Welcome. This is a quick three video training program to really help our teachers with what I'm seeing as probably our top issue that's really obstructing instruction. It is the process of classroom management. Now, anybody that's been around me knows in my teachings, I really like to blow up the concept of classroom management. I like to introduce it properly. Where a lot of teachers are really struggling is not with the classroom management component. That is preparation, planning, and presentation. Many of our teachers are struggling with student management. The student management process is where you manage your emotions and the personalities of kids. So there's a structured process to developing good student management practices. We don't teach that a lot. We're under the impression, really flawed impression, that we can reward behavior, incentivize behavior, and behavior is a discipline. See, behavior is something you got to learn. And behavior requires you to learn about yourself, how you feel, what causes you to react certain ways. There's no way around that. And what we're doing is when we go to the immediate behavior systems and rewards, what you do is you actually skip the discipline. You skip the maturity. You skip the knowledge that is required of self to really build positive, long-term human development, which translate into correct behavior. 5 areas that I believe that instructors are going to need moving forward is understanding the process of personal behavior, student behavior. What our kids have to learn. Our kids have to learn how to be students, right? Coming out of COVID, if you go home for 2 years, we got to retrain you in all basic disciplines. So if you've got a kid that typically the K-12 process is not disrupted. So if I get you at K, I'm training you how to be a student the whole way. Well, for everybody alive right now, they took 2 years out. Now, if you've got the home that's supporting you in the process, great. If you are in a trauma zone that I teach a lot about, and I'm not going in trauma zone right now, watch my videos on that. If you teach in a trauma zone where trauma is developing a lot of the emotions and the impulses and the lack of discipline, then that means your program, your district, your school has to specialize in teacher student management. That means that's a whole training process. So the question they always ask me is, does PBIS work? Absolutely. Will it work as your first step in the trauma zone? It won't. Because what you end up doing is you start seeing too much inconsistency. Rewards are going to get some people, and in other situations, the rewards become manipulation. Remember the law of help. The law of help states, if you don't think it's help, you become an enabler. That's what we're becoming. So the third thing here that the teacher must learn is how to deal with your own personal issues. Third, how to emotionally respond to issues. And then teaching kids how to follow instructions. These are the 5 areas you must make sure your students receive guidance. That is the student management process. What is appropriate behavior? How to be a student? How to deal with your personal issues, recognizing them. 3, how to emotionally respond. 5, how to follow instructions. That is the student management process. It's no other way around that. When you skip that, what you start seeing is excessive inconsistencies in how our students respond to behavioral expectations. Now, the next part of this that I believe is critical is how does the teacher approach the issue of discipline? This is as a discipline. This is as important as lesson plans. This is as important as our PLCs. This is important as our data. It is the teacher discipline structure. How does a teacher structure discipline in their life and in their classroom ongoing? Pillar number 1 is The teacher sets the tone. What does that mean? Your attitude concerning discipline will dictate how people conduct themselves. We talk a lot about expectations, and I love expectations. But what I love more than expectations, I love boundaries. Here's what I expect from you. Here's what's acceptable. Here's what's not. In every relationship we have, we are duty bound to say where the line is. Guess what? A lot of adults are struggling in that area. So when we don't know how to set tones and boundaries, you leave the door open for a lot of conduct that is counterproductive to everything you're trying to do. The teacher sets the tone. Remember, number two, a passive or loving teacher, okay? And so the reason why right now, what's trending in our practice is a lot of pre-K programs, a lot of elementary programs are saying, all right, Dr. Jackson, hey man, we need some help. Well, where you probably about 5 years ago, I can remember even going to a district and I was there that day and they let the pre-K people or the pre-K to 2 people, they had a different discipline model. They said, oh no, we're kind of doing something that works over here. Well, 3 years later, everybody in the district's with me. Well, they should have been with me that day. Why? So here's the deal. When people, they are thinking, see what comes with trauma has to be managed a certain way. Trauma is not age specific. Now, please hear me. If you mismanage a trauma, you will develop behavior habits of entitlement, of enablement. And you'll see it in 4-year-olds, and you'll see it in 6-year-olds. You set that tone right there, you will develop that conduct over time. I like to always say, and we do understand age adjustments and things like that. But however, behavior is consistent. If you reinforce destructive behavior, you just told them it's okay. And this is a concept that is very, very common. It is very, very common in our programs. And if we do not, if we don't get that fixed, you will start to notice that you have just trained the child how to act negatively. You have just trained the child how to continuously violate boundaries. That's a discipline. It's no way around that. Okay. And that's not age specific. Like children, babies know. This is redirecting babies. So this like even redirecting the baby. No, that's wrong. No, you can't have it. Okay, you can have it. You're training. This is where a lot of people are really struggling. And this is where the teaching is so much required. I believe well over 80% of our behavior problems can be solved with the teacher discipline of just understanding behavior. It's not about punishment. It's not about being a bad guy. Behavior is training. You have to train people how to respond. A lot of people don't like to upset people. They don't like to people to get mad at them, even their own children. So they don't discipline. They don't redirect. They don't teach. Discipline is teaching. Punishment is time. Discipline's teaching. Discipline is a science. It is a science to being disciplined. It is a science to human behavior. And there's things that we have to consistently do. Even when we are attempting to employ things like restorative practices, conscious discipline and things of that nature, and just building relationships with the students, it's a building a relationship. Relationships always come with understanding and boundaries. Now here, we know that for many adults, this is a personal challenge, but it's a personal challenge in their personal life. So it's not like if this is something like, aha, wow. No, it's not an aha, wow. It is consistently mismanaged. And so that's where we have seen when we build teachers and we give teachers the practical fundamentals that they have to manage a student's behavior, is things they've got to understand about the fundamentals of behavior, reinforcement, boundaries, even with babies. That's why the pre-K folks will tell you they're seeing things we've never seen. Now, notice what I said, 80% of behaviors. Now we've seen some behaviors that have escalated so much. They're dangerous, they're physical, destructive, and that's also a boundary. There are things we can manage, and there are things we cannot. And this is why the need for the accurate training, the need for retraining SPED departments in fundamentals, right? We're there to support, we're there to help, but we are not there to enable. We are not there to create entitlement. And if we do it wrong, that's the culture we create. Always remember, the loving passive teacher in any situation will always be taken advantage of. That's called poverty. Poverty only knows how to take advantage. Poverty's mental, it's not money. Poverty starts getting infused in these babies early. And there's entitlement. The parent knows they can call up there and then just kind of finesse the departments. And I don't want to deal with them. When they're at home, they're my problem. When they're at school, they're yours. See, these are the habits that we are developing in our culture. Culture is, by definition, what we believe, how we behave. If we don't fix that, we will make a monster we can't manage. I have departments all over the country, people getting smacked around, hit, black eyes, bruises, broken bones, torn shoulders, grabbing kids, restraining kids. And what that is saying is, what I'm asking is, listen, we got to do what we have to do. But along with that, there has to be the boundaries. There have to be standards, even when you're dealing with SPED departments, even when you're dealing with 504s. Folks, the training process has to improve. And that's what I'm talking to the teachers about right now. We have a number 3. If all of the members of a particular staff at a school don't pull in the same direction, I can tell you right now what's going to happen. That the inconsistency in our behavior practice as adults across the team, it will create problems in how things are managed in the building. I have one staff that I work with that is absolutely, from the high school, the toughest level, and pre-K, the next toughest level, and then junior high gives us a different challenge. But this particular high school operates as a unit, and everybody on that team is running the same program. So if our boundary is, hey, you don't do this. Hey, here, we don't have hoods on our head. Nobody allows it. Hey, you don't have cell phones out in class. Nobody allows it. The boundary, the expectation, the standard never changes. But what does it require? The team. Most buildings struggle because the team's not on the same page. It's a brutal reality. That's something you've got to understand, because your life can be significantly harder if your team is not moving together. The 4th thing is, all members of the team must remain consistent in this process, right? They've got to be consistent or it doesn't work. Consistency is not a cuss word. It is something that we have to learn how to do and how to move forward with. This is something that I believe we can correct. And this requires training. This requires training. This requires training. People training. You got to teach people how to be a team. You have to teach people how to be consistent. That's what student management's about. The disciplines of winning, the disciplines, being disciplined as an individual, being disciplined as a team, being disciplined as a teacher, doing it on the days you don't want to. That's how you build this thing, man. And then when you learn how to do these 4 critical, structured processes, these are the disciplines that build and make for good student management. I'll see you in the next video, where I kind of give you some more detailed activities, detailed practices that you must have for successful classroom management, which has been totally kind of put in the wrong mode, but it's called student management. When you learn how to manage that difficult personality, these principles will not fail you. I'll see you in the next video.